The first order is agenda additions and deletions. I believe we have one addition. Pat Pranger has put her name in for
Trustee of Public Funds.
Trustee of Public Funds. Probably we could deal with that right now.
Okay.
I believe Pat has done this role previously, so.
This would just be till March.
It's because we don't have anyone right
Right.
now. And she's the one who's put her name in for it?
Yes.
Okay. And she's done it before?
I
I think she has, but I couldn't swear to it.
Okay.
Are we good with it?
Yeah.
Go by consensus?
Yes.
Approval of the select board minutes from 11/21/22. Motion to discuss.
I make a motion to discuss.
second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any corrections noted any? We're good? Motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Pay orders. We have pay orders in the amount of $49,020.26. Is that still a good number?
Yep, no additions.
Any questions, discussion?
I'll make the motion to accept the $49,020.26.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Honorable mentions, Little Angels Nursery and Preschool, Ruth Ann Barker, Michael DiGianto, I hope I'm pronouncing that right,
That's good.
and Alethea Hawkins, all donated groceries to the food shelf. So, thanks to those folks. Road Commissioners report.
Well, not a lot to report. I didn't get down to Steve today. I did get over, I think it was Wednesday, the week of the meeting, and we did, it was before Thanksgiving, Wednesday. We did cut the edges down on that. The plate in the middle of the bridge, I just can't think what I want to say. So we did grind that down so it's level on all four sides, so it's smoother to come across. And they were gonna put a shim under two corners of it so the plate didn't flex and eliminate some of the bounce in the plate. So that should take some of the shock out of that bridge. Hopefully it'll hold up, it'll make it easier, definitely. They cleaned it all off too, they swept the whole bridge off, cut the edges back to the concrete and stuff. Other than that, I'm still waiting to hear back from gentleman that's logging in East Wallingford, Lathrop, and on when he's going to proceed this winter. I hope it's not till it freezes up a little more. It has been. The other things, I guess, to talk about while we're down by the bridge here is the Maple Street Bridge. That one that the head wall is gone on, it's cracked, needs to be replaced. Is that something we're gonna put out to bids? Or are we gonna do it in-house?
Do we have the capability in-house to do that, Phil? I don't.
It's not that big a job, because I've looked at it with Steve a couple different times, and it's a matter of basically pouring a new, cleaning, take the wall down, take the stuff off, leaving a pre-existing footing that's there, and pouring a new footing, in my thought, putting a new footing in there with a slot in it to set 2 or 3 jersey barriers, you know, that you see in the middle of the roads for a bridge abutment and be done with it. You know, leave a 4-inch lip, set them down in it, it's done. I don't know how extravagant you want to get, if you want all that other prefab like they did it with castings and names and stuff. I don't know what's required, but it's just a barrier. It's not structurally doing anything, that wall. Because it's totally broke off. It's basically leaning on an old rotten log right now.
We have 16,700 to do that bridge.
What's that?
16,700 for the work.
Yeah,
7?
I presume that the town could easily do that and be no issues, and,
Okay.
you know. And that's my thought on it. It's gonna be something, if you put it out to bids, I don't know what they're gonna do with it. I don't see the need to
Okay.
make it too extravagant.
No.
Okay. Sounds like the town should do it then, if everybody's in agreement.
Get it, you know, that, there's water under that, right?
Yes, that's the fire channel that runs through 2 Temper.
Right.
It comes down on the far end of the lot.
That's, do we have to get permits?
We're not working in the water, but I can look.
Okay, I don't know, I'm not sure exactly
I'm
where
gonna work
it is.
above the water, but I can bring
Josh Carroll?
Josh Carnwell in and see what he thinks.
Just before we do it, get in trouble doing it.
Right.
It's easier to ask questions first, I guess.
Yeah.
The other thing is, the debris blower. The prices we have from, is it HP Fairfax, Fairfield, wherever it is? Fairfield. One was $92.95 and the other was $88.15. We have a grant for $5,600. I have found, as near as I can tell, the identical thing online. It's in Buffalo, New York, at Buffalo something, the name, whatever the name of this blower is, Buffalo Debris. I've got a price of $6,700 on it right now. But we're trying to find a dealer closer to us that can tell me what the shipping cost is. And I keep telling the gentleman, the boss out there, whoever it is, the owner, I said, I don't need to just tell me where the guys are, ship it to them, and I can pick it up from there. One was in Connecticut and there was 2 in New York, and both of them I've come up to don't return my phone calls. He sent me 3 of them. So I'm just trying to figure out what we're gonna finish out getting for a total price on that before I go ahead and do anything with it. But it's around back to roughly, I think we originally quote was 72
Yeah.
from HP, and that was a year ago. Now this is from the distributor itself. So,
I think if we can save $3,500,
Oh, yeah.
it's definitely worth pursuing.
yeah, even if we have to drive a couple hours to go get it each way. The other is equipment rental for roadside mowing. Are we still up for 1 week, or do you want to do more than that? I was thinking we were going to do 1 week and then try to get a mower head for the little mini excavator, so they could do that in their off season and get rid of a lot of this little brush.
Is this contract typical or what? When we lease equipment, I really wasn't comfortable when I started reading this. I mean, it states that the town becomes liable for the equipment, whether it's lost, stolen, damaged, up to 150% of the total value of the equipment, which doesn't seem right to me.
No, cause I know the other leases aren't that way. When it breaks down, they come fix it.
Yeah,
I mean, the one we've been doing, the past several years, he just brings his own and he operates it, so we haven't had anything like this.
Who was the gentleman we dealt with? Was it HP Fairfield?
That was years ago, but we've
Yeah.
been dealing with the guy in,
For 1 year?
Manchester.
1 year or 2?
no, it's been a couple.
Cause I did it last year.
He did it last year too, or he did it
No.
like 2 years before that.
Yeah, I don't know how the health is on that gentleman.
Oh, he's not doing it anymore.
Oh, he's not? Okay.
No.
I don't know how his health is, so. Well, I haven't seen that contract.
Well, it was in the packet that I mailed you.
Yeah, and I haven't seen that either. I looked.
Here it is.
So,
Right there.
150% of the new replacement value of the rented items.
yeah, what happens if a fuel line breaks on it and it catches fire at his lack of maintenance, we're gonna be buying him a new machine. I think what I would look into is to see if our insurance will cover
That's
something
what I
like
was thinking
that.
as well.
And if our
Yeah.
insurance won't cover something like that, I don't think I'd be getting
Yeah.
tied up with this gentleman. I don't know that, as a,
Either
probably
that
wouldn't
or,
happen all the time, but I wouldn't think that. That's,
either that or we hire them with an operator and then they're responsible for their own equipment.
did he put in an operator?
He just said that would be extra. He didn't say.
That,
I mean, what if we get a piece of equipment?
I mean.
That's faulty on their end.
That's what I mean.
From Fairfield, that's what we signed in the past, if you look at
Okay.
this. Just to show you what
I
we
see.
signed in the past for when we rented a mower. And we operated that one.
Steve operated, I think, 2 years or 3 years.
That's the
Yeah.
Fairfield one.
And maybe this is becoming more standard practice to do this, but I don't think it makes it acceptable.
Maybe that's why he's so cheap on his hourly rate, not a lot of people do it. I don't know.
Oh, this past agreement did say that we agreed to insure the equipment.
Well, that's kind of an automatic. Anytime you rent something,
Yeah.
your insurance automatically covers.
But I don't
The
think,
rental
is
of
it
it.
at 150%?
No,
I thought it was at market.
yeah, it's whatever,
Appreciated Market value.
whatever it's worth, yeah.
Yeah.
But 150% of the new replacement value, I mean, it's like you said, we're buying a new machine. On a
150.
rental, on a piece of rental equipment.
Yeah. I don't know if the insurance would even go for that. And they're-
I'll pass that back.
I think we need to determine whether our insurance covers this
Yeah,
before we agree to
Yeah.
this.
okay, yeah.
All right, so debris, Maple Street. The Better Roads grant, I'm on the, due the 16th. I will get with Steve on probably Wednesday. I'll make a meeting, we'll get this set up, so. And Charlie, I think, set the last one up, so I probably ought to be with Charlie on it, and we'll figure out what we need to do and where we're going with it, and get it back to Sandy by the end of the week.
Okay.
So she has some time to
Yeah,
write it up and not have to race around. The other thing Sandy had done up, I think we asked her, or she did it on her own, which is good. This vehicle replacement sheet. This shows where we're at and what we have left, but I'm still thinking that probably, maybe ought to set something up in the, I don't know how they do it, I know nothing about it. This is $75,000 a year equipment slush fund that the town votes on, so that we have that money there instead of trying to get loans, or at least big loans. You know, it's something that, I don't know if it gets worked into the budget or has to go when it gets voted on, but it's just something to think about on there. I brought it up last week. The other 2 or 3 items that I thought about, to think about on budget and the road end of it, well, the salt shed is one, what we're gonna do with that. You know, is it something we're gonna try to put in the budget, or are we gonna put it out to the townspeople to let them make a decision on it? Because I don't, say it's of 300,000, I'm just using that for a round figure. You said it was a 20% match, Sandy?
If we got that grant, yeah.
And so it'll be 60,000 to the townspeople. And that wouldn't be for what, 2 years, probably? It's probably gonna take 2 years.
Application is, yeah, the application's in the fall, September. We'd find out October, November,
For the following year.
yeah.
So we could budget. My thought, I'm just putting this out there, is do we want to budget, put something in the budget, like 25 or 30,000 for a, I don't know if you want to call it a slush fund to on a sand shed, or, you know, something like that. I don't know how you would do it, for sure. It's just something that, instead of trying to come up with 60,000 out of our pocket on 2 years from now when the 20% is due.
So we also have that Fernfield Fund,
Right.
Farms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that comes due in what, 23, December of
yeah, so
23?
it'll be, yeah. this is
Another
end of-
year from
the end of the year,
So it's a year from now.
So, but depending on what you put down towards the grader with that, is what you'll have left.
Right.
You're still looking at, talking about purchasing a moving trailer for the little excavator.
What's the
it
cost
cost-
on that?
What's that?
What's the cost on the trailer?
Oh, roughly 5,000. For a used one, you don't need a new one. New one's gonna be 20 grand.
I was gonna say, I'm trying to buy a new one, about 10,000 pounder, and I haven't found one cheaper than 10 grand yet, so.
No. And 10 grand, 10,000 pound isn't heavy enough.
Right.
20 would be close, 10 tonner would be close. Anyways, the debris mower was very little difference if we get that, but if we do a mulching head, that's somewhere's in the 5,000 to 7,000 range, I think. I haven't got exact figures on it because we're not sure which way we're going with that.
So you almost have to, if you do the mulching head, you're almost gonna have a trailer to go with that.
Yeah, to move it. Or pay me or somebody to move
Right.
it regularly.
Right.
But a lot of our roads are connecting, so they can start on one end,
Right.
work both sides of the road, like Sugar Hill or Hartsboro Road, and then jump to West Hill. There's not a lot of movement sometimes.
Have you looked into the brush mowers they put on the loaders, on the front?
Yeah,
Seen those?
yeah.
I'm just asking.
30 plus starts them.
Oh, okay, because I'm just thinking that's a little bit more mobile than the excavator.
Yeah, but it's not gonna get you it's gonna get you, what you're getting into there is same as these tractors with the sidearm mowers.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right.
And stuff. The debris blower, that goes right on the front of the loader.
Oh, okay.
Town of Clarendon set theirs right up on the front of the their loader, and they absolutely love it that way. They just run right along the road to clean ditches and everything else. So there's a multiple of things in the budget besides the budget itself, because everything, as everybody knows, has gone up drastically. Material's gonna, I'm sure, go up again. It's gone up around $250, $275 a ton this year. So in another year, I'm sure it's gonna go up another $1 a ton, so if you stayed with the same budget, you're losing a third of your road gravel. roughly. Same, and it's gonna be the same with sand, and I think salt didn't go up too bad, did it?
Oh, about $12. It's 85. It was 72 last year.
Yeah, so it's only an eighth, so it's not too bad. But your paving is really gonna take a hit. Paving is gonna go right out of this world this year. So that's something you might wanna think about doing an extra line item for if the town wants to go on and set a certain amount aside for paving over and above what we flat rated at. That's something that, you know, whether or not we want to do it, I don't know. But if you go with $50 or $60,000 worth of paving this year, you're probably going to get about a half of what you got last year, or less.
So I guess the questions are, do we want to do
The environment that we're,
do we want to do something like this for paving?
Well,
What's the
those-
feeling of the board on these items?
Those can all be discussion on budget, when we do the budget
Okay.
for the highway.
So, discussion for highway budget.
when it comes budget time, this is what would happen if you're getting a grader at some point in time, so we could save the roads by grading them, you know, and keeping them. If you drop the gravel budget down, increase the paving budget this year, next year drop the paving budget down, increase, and just keep bouncing back and forth between the two. I know something's gonna get hurt,
You're losing all the way around.
but I'm just,
Our dirt roads can't take much time off from maintenance and gravel to them. And you know, the tire roads are so far gone now, it's just time before they all disintegrate.
Right, I know.
You know, we're doing the best we can with what we have, but, you know, it's gonna be a tough ride if we don't. Instead of taking a year, slowing down one side or the other, we should be adding to both.
I know.
Try to get them back up into where they belong. Because with the price of material going up a third, you're losing a third of your material, so that means the budget's gotta go up a third to half just to break even. And, you know, that's gonna be bad enough, budgeting that way. 'Cause like I said, if you're losing a third the cost, you know, you're not even gonna break, if you add a third, you're not gonna break even. You're not gonna get you
Right. Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud.
Well, I've made enough.
Full of good
I've made
news
enough.
tonight, Phil.
Hey, we go on something else now. Everybody's depressed.
You can go home now.
I can go, thank you.
All set then?
Problem is, poor Dave's after me. Sorry, Dave.
Actually, public comments comes first.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
I'm only here in public comments because we couldn't get on the agenda, and the agenda for the 19th is way too crowded. Just a brief report to the select board. I did attend the State Government Municipal Day. There were 4 workshops that looked like they were worth attending for the town. First was the FEMA Public Assistance 101. The second was FEMA flood map updates and what's ahead. The third was removing unsafe, obsolete dams, and the fourth was farm operation and farm structures. So I will put together a brief report on that over the holidays and submit it to you in January. Certainly the Earth's not going to stop revolving until then on these issues. Also, with the vice chair, went today to the ARPA funds meeting with state officials this afternoon in Rutland. We will submit a little report on that as well. And one of the things that came across that is due for follow-up is a hazard mitigation program that Vermont is expanding to support the flood resilience effort, and they are now looking at perhaps offering 100% funding. So I will chase that down and find out what the specifics are and report back accordingly.
100% funding
Is
on,
that for the buyouts?
Yes,
oh,
Bruce is actually gonna talk about that in a bit. Yeah.
okay. That's it for me.
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay, we're on the budget. Fiscal safety, public safety.
Well,
I guess-
did you,
Yes.
pass out the numbers, so?
Yep.
Yeah, so there was an increase to 46.38 per hour for, based on the 20 hours coverage that you're getting now for the 2023-2024 contract season. I don't know if there's any more discussion about an increase of hours or if there's any change, back and forth concern on coverage time.
what do we, does anybody have anything?
How does everybody on the board feel with the 20 hours?
There've been times when it doesn't feel like it's been
Yeah.
enough.
And I think that's with some of the complaints we've had over the year about different things, it all comes back to needing possibly more time.
Yeah.
Is there even is that even an option with your staffing?
Well, right now it would be difficult. You know, we're looking at July. I do have a couple new hires in the process that actually this week I'll be talking with. Without a crystal ball, I guess I couldn't say that I could.
Oh, no, I know, I just,
mean, there's other towns that are asking me the same questions, if I can expand more hours for their town, and I really don't have a solid answer. I mean, the police world at this point is, you know, people are getting out of it, not going into it again, or they're transferring through to another department because there's so many job opportunities, so it's hard to tell at this point. I mean, right now, we're pretty solid. I've got a couple out on medical, but they'll be back shortly. Like I said, it's hard to tell.
it just, it feels like with stuff going on, it should be an avenue we should start looking at. Maybe not immediately, but
Right,
we need to go back, maybe start increasing it more.
yes.
I've been out of
How I
this for a
feel.
couple of years, sorry Carolyn, but.
You're fine.
When you guys are patrolling, well, let me rephrase that. What are your responsibilities to the town? In other words, when you're in town and you're patrolling, what do you cover?
Any call for police service
Okay,
during our contract hours, yeah.
all right. So if you're not here and something happens for police services, who responds?
That would be the state police if they choose to respond. If they choose it's something that can wait until we're back on shift, then they'll hold that call for us. I mean, Sandy's called me at times when something's come up in town and we don't have anybody on and I've sent somebody down to take care of whatever the problem is. So if we can make that happen, I do. Can't always guarantee I'm gonna have somebody available to swing down, but we have in the past.
So where I'm going with it is, I'm hear complaints about people speeding on Route 7.
Right.
Main Street. Problem
just
is, well,
Yeah, I know.
but that's where you hear the majority of it. But where I'm going with it is if they're in town to patrol at 20 hours a week and somebody calls them for a call, we've lost that patrol on Main Street.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, the contract's not written as a radar contract, it's a police
Right.
services contract.
right. And I'm just,
And am I correct, when we cut hours, we cut them by half? It had been 40, and then it got
Yeah,
cut to
it was
20?
40, then we, I think, dropped to 25 and then to 20.
Okay,
because it started out, I think it was 32, went to 40.
Right.
Stayed at 40 for a while, then dropped back down.
Yeah.
okay. So we've
Just-
been, okay,
Well, I'm just concerned that with the 20 hours a week, we're not getting enough, if they're responsible for calls as, when they're in town, we're not getting coverage for speeders.
I mean,
But if we're covering for speeders, we're not getting coverage for the rest of the stuff, so it's,
my concern isn't even just the speeding, it's if they're not on and there is an issue and the state police can't not come here.
Right.
It waits. So my concern isn't even just traffic, it's
public safety.
It's public safety all
And I'm not
around.
saying the state won't respond.
No, no,
There are
I
calls
know.
that they'll just, it's
They're
not an
busy
emergency
too,
situation,
it's-
so they will,
No, it's
They'll patch
not
it
quite
over.
what I meant, but
Right.
yeah.
So your contract covers travel time from Rutland to Wallingford,
Yeah.
or Clarendon, wherever you are.
the way the way my people work is if the patrol starts here at 10, they need to be able to leave my office at 10 o'clock to be in Wallingford, so 5:10 after, by the time they hit.
Right, right. And the same thing if you run up to Clarendon, if you, same officers covering Clarendon or something, you're running back and forth.
We're splitting it, so when Wallingford time is Wallingford time, and
Okay.
when they're done in Wallingford, they go to Clarendon, so there's no, because when Nelson originally didn't wanna, swap an officer that way,
Right.
he wanted to have designated time for Wallingford, so we set it up, so there were two
Okay.
separate, they might be coverage in the same day for both towns, but 4 hours maybe here, and then 4 hours maybe in Clarendon.
And where I was going with that is that, what if it would be in the town's interest to save a little bit of time if there was a spot in town for the officer to base out of? In other words, to come in and do his paperwork.
Well, they do use the rescue squad building, or they'll use the firehouse.
Okay.
They have access.
They
to
do,
it,
okay,
to-
that's-
To sit down and use their
yeah,
computer to do
okay.
a case or whatever, and still be available. They have-
And that's what I just said, let's say he's running back
Yeah.
and forth.
And it is all of Wallingford,
Correct.
South Wallingford, East Wallingford.
All of it, yeah. Which is quite a large area.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Spread it out.
It takes what, 15, 20 minutes to get from one side to the other.
Right, yeah, it does take some time. I was actually just talking with my officer tonight, it's like, well, Wallingford and Clarendon are probably the two biggest landmass area towns that we cover. so.
Okay.
Have you considered an on-call?
As far as off hours on call?
Yes.
I have considered it, I don't have the staffing level for it right now.
Okay.
To put somebody on call like that.
Because that would be the option of, instead of increasing the full-time 20 hours to 32 or 40, you could do an on-call at, an hourly rate or something, do a one-time charge of on-call and an hourly rate.
Is it okay to ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I was wondering how many hours do other towns of our size have?
Comparable, if I use West Rutland Proctor, they're both 40. Pulteney is currently 32, and they're talking with me about going to 40. Mendon, 32. Clarendon is 30 at this time, so.
So do you cover, you don't cover speeding at all during those hours?
No, we do. When
You do?
we're on shift for the towns, we cover anything that comes in.
Anything, okay.
If there's not a call for complaint, they should be doing either road patrol or radar enforcement.
Okay.
So do we want to try to increase back to 32 or something?
I think we should, under the circumstances.
Yep,
We should at least
If we can.
investigate to see what we
right.
can.
I'll just say, if you do budget for 32 hours, I'll do my best to get 32 hours, but like I said, without the crystal ball and knowing what I'll have, for staffing come July 1, that, we'll still have the 20 for sure, but if I have the availability for 32, then if not, I guess you've saved some money, so.
Basically, and it sounds like other towns want to up it, if we want to get almost like on a waiting list for your staffing.
Yeah, actually, Mount Holly and Shrewsbury have been after me for like 2 years to get up there, and I finally was able to start them last June. So I got some time there. Danby's been trying to increase hours. I'm sure they're gonna come at me this year with an increase down there as well. So Wells has actually increased last budget season as well, so.
So we should, if this is something we want eventually, we need to let you know that, so when you do have it.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
if you're budgeting and you say that, if we're gonna do 32 hours, if you have the capability, at least I can put you on the list first. Although,
Okay.
Pulteney did reach out to me 2 weeks ago about
Right.
going from 32 to 40 as well, so.
And if you can only provide 20, we only pay for 20, so if we budget for 32.
Right, I mean, at least
It's
it
not like
would be
we're,
there.
it's not like
if
we're
the
paying you for
capability-
services we're not.
Right, if you
Okay.
budget 32 and I can only give you 20, it's only gonna be based off of 20 hours a week.
Okay.
So that line will, you got a calculator?
So did you, if you said, I just want to double check, so if we were to go up to 30, would it be at, what would the rate be?
What I gave, 46.38?
4638.
All right.
What were you last year, Dave?
44.18,
So you went up roughly $2 an hour,
220, yeah.
not even covering your fuel.
At times, last year, no, it did
Let's look
not.
at it that way.
Right.
No idling.
They're gonna have to wear mittens to do their paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't run hard.
Figuring it out.
I see you're still advertising for Steve on some of your cruisers, huh?
77,176.
Okay, you still got Steve's.
Actually, I think I finally got them all converted.
I saw that the other
I wanted to
day.
wait till after the last election to make sure Ashton's gonna be the guy, so, before I paid the money to switch them, so.
Bit conservative of money on that.
Yeah, I
That
really
would
got
be
spent
under
the money
the
if I didn't
special
have to.
officer contract? Is that correct?
Yes.
Your wife would be proud.
Yes, yes. She's very fiscally sound that way.
She did 4638 times 30 times 52.
Yes.
32.
Is that what you got?
30 or 32? 32?
$46.38 times 30 hours a week times 52. I got 72,352.80.
Do we want to budget for 32
I
instead
figured
of 30?
32 hours, not 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 1,664 hours a year based on 32 hours, right? Is that what you came up with?
77, 176, 32.
Yeah, that's what I came up with.
What did you come up with, Kathy?
What's that?
Say that again.
$77,176.32. My bank
That's
teller.
for 30 hours?
77, 176.
That's at 32 hours.
32 hours a week. All right.
Any other questions, or?
Go hire somebody, Dave.
I'm trying. It's a tough profession right now.
He's in the same boat as everybody else.
Yeah.
They're all
I see, went to Family Dollar yesterday, and they were closed due to staffing, they couldn't get staff
Yep.
to work. It's like, I don't know what's happened.
The manager won't work 7 days a week. I said, that ain't much of a manager.
Cumberland's in the same situation.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you, I guess I'll make my plan on 32 hours. Or, I don't know when you're, well, I can wait till after your budget season then. But I'm still gonna try to hire people, so.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right,
David.
Thank you.
good night, thank you.
That hurts.
Yep, but it's needed.
So, first constable stipend was budgeted for $250. Do we even have a first constable anymore?
I don't think we have.
Yeah,
We do?
well, it's Robert.
Okay.
So we're gonna keep that at
Sounds like we
250?
better level fund that one, huh? After
Yeah.
increasing everything else.
Yeah.
As far as the dog warden stipend, he was good at staying at the $12.50.
And at the 50.
He was good with his expenses at 50, so.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll take care of the public safety budget.
All right.
Resiliency funding. We just wanted to make folks aware, Shannon had brought it to our attention that there is money out there for The way I read it, or the way it initially sounded was like the state was looking to buy out potential flood damaged properties. Is that,
Yeah, so this is a new program, run through the Vermont Emergency Management Agency. And yeah, they're looking to buy flood damaged properties, flood prone properties that haven't been damaged, to prevent them from being developed and becoming flood damaged properties. Yeah, floodplain restoration projects. There's a whole slew of different options that they're willing to fund. And
so,
so while I work for the Rivers program, I'm here representing myself. I don't work for this program, so I'm not an expert in it, but I did forward the information just because I thought it was an amazing program. It's a new program, started last year with $5 million, and they received an additional $15 million from the legislature, so they have quite a bit of money to buy out, you know, properties. So I know, you know, just based on our most recent flooding in Wallingford, that there's, you know, we have a significant amount of properties that do flood in town. So, you know, it's a voluntary program. Landowners would have to be willing and interested in to pursue the program, but I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of it.
Do we have a list of properties that are flood damaged and or flood prone?
I don't know. This really falls back on the property owner.
Does it fall on the
so-
property owner to apply for? Okay.
Yeah, so they would apply for it, and the way it normally works, so it's based on the FEMA buyouts, but the FEMA buyouts are very like, they can't be applied to a lot of properties because FEMA is very specific about what they're looking for, and so the whole idea of this program is to kind of broaden the criteria to allow for more properties that are flood damaged to be eligible for buyouts. So, generally, once the property is purchased, there's like restrictions put on the property so that it can never be developed, and then the property is transferred to the town. So that's where the town would come in. So that's something that, you know, before anybody pursues this, you know, much further, it would probably make sense for you all to discuss like whether you would consider taking ownership of these parcels if they're bought out. And they would then, like, you know, this has happened all over the state. I've worked on a number of them where we've done easements as well in the end, and they become public access properties. Like there's a whole bunch up in Bristol and
So when
Millbury. They're all over the place.
when a property becomes then to the town and then it becomes public access,
Yeah, so it's a deed restricted property. It can never be developed, and it, you know, there would be public access. There might be a requirement to maintain like a vegetated buffer for, you know, water quality benefits. But it could be used for like passive recreation. You know, people could go there, go fishing,
is
have a
there,
picnic.
is there like a recurring or occurring cost to the town, or is it basically,
No.
okay,
Well, it depends. If it's a property that's got water and sewer, you're either gonna have to pay to discontinue the water and sewer, disconnect it, or you're gonna pay a monthly tax, a monthly fee.
okay,
So there are costs that can be
okay.
in,
Plus the tax revenue.
and you're also gonna lose the tax revenue.
We'll lose the tax
Also
revenue.
the issue of if there is a septic or a well-related issue, that might have to be addressed as well.
Okay,
So if there's any like costs of like, you know, disassembling a property, they would pay for that. That's all covered by the grant program.
so, okay, so disassembling is covered by the grant program.
Yeah, so like if the house needs to be demolished, because it's, you know, that happens all the time where properties are damaged, and that's included in the cost of the,
What about like disconnecting the septic or the well, would that be
I mean, we
covered?
would have to ask them, but,
Okay.
you know, they pay for demolition, so I would think if there's something that needs to be disconnected, that they would cover that, but we
Okay,
would have to ask
but we just have to check on that, okay.
if it comes up.
Okay.
It comes to that, so.
Okay.
At this point, it's up to the property owners initially, so. But we wanted to make people aware of it,
Oh, great.
so.
We have a direct connection with Ben Rose, who's the Recovery and Mitigation Section Chief. And, you know, if we have any specific questions on a specific set of property, I'm sure we'll be able to reach out
And
and get some advice.
how does the public find out about this program?
That's a very good question. I would assume that the state of Vermont puts out some information push on that, but I've not seen it.
It's also in the newsletter that just went out to
Okay.
everybody.
Yeah, I forwarded it to Julie,
Okay.
and Julie put it in the newsletter for this month and next month.
Thank you for doing that.
But I don't know what, I mean, it's run through Vermont Emergency Management, so I don't know
Yeah,
what PR they've done.
yeah, I just wasn't sure how this information got out to the public, since it's up to the property owner to make the reach out for it.
Yeah.
How they got that information about it, because it seems like
Yeah.
quite a well-funded program and could be.
Yeah, I mean, they spent the first 5 million very quickly, because there's like a backlog of projects that weren't eligible for FEMA funding for whatever reason.
Right,
Like FEMA funds usually projects that, properties that have experienced flooding damage but not erosion hazard damage, so
right.
there was all these properties that had been significantly damaged by floods but weren't eligible for FEMA funding.
I
So-
was quite surprised today when they were talking about 100% cost share. That was very surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no match requirement.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's a great program.
Good. Let's move on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Yeah.
Recreation Committee appointment recommendation. So, the Rec Committee has recommended the appointment of David Cornwall to fill one of their vacancies. Does anybody know who he is?
I know him very
I
well.
know him.
If the rec committee is putting him up to,
And somebody's willing to be on the rec committee?
yeah. He has a lot of experience with a lot of things, so I think he could,
Yes.
he's a middle school teacher, he's a coach of various sports.
He used to run the EPIC program up at the Rutland Middle School, and I think with Rutland High School as well. So he has a knowledge and an interest in,
And not just
and different
coaching.
programs too.
Right, it's educational,
Yes.
it's the coordinating of it,
Right.
experience too, not just the David.
The recommendation. Yeah,
So if they're good with them,
Motion?
I'm good.
me too. Oh, shall I make a motion? I make a motion that, that David Cornwall is appointed to the Recreation Committee.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Good. Purchasing policy review. This was actually something I initiated. The purchasing policy refers to employees only, and
No.
by definition, the volunteers are not town employees, so I felt we should define that, and then Julie had made some suggestions on how they go about making purchases here too, so. Sandy's giving you a draft, underlined what the new additions are.
Okay.
We can discuss. Comments, questions?
See where we're talking about who can make the bid. Okay. So is the word, so is it town employees? Is that the language right now in it?
Yes.
Okay. Do we want to keep that language the same?
Yeah, we're not changing
Okay,
what existed.
okay.
What we're adding is,
Oh, is that, okay.
I define,
I don't know if I have that.
Okay. I'll print one out for you.
Thank
I
you.
say,
Yeah, I don't have the
you look
new
like you've got the
language.
old policy.
Look at the old one.
Okay, I'll bring that for you.
I was looking for the underlined thing going, I don't know where it is. Oh, great. Would you like one of these?
That the,
You got one?
You
The
got
new
it?
one? Yeah, we got them.
I was just saying she could have Justin's. Save some printing.
I think Sandy just printed it out, so I think one's gonna do it. Because everybody else seems to have it. Excellent, thank you.
You have the right version, right? Okay.
Yeah, I do have it.
All right.
Do you mind just summarizing like what you're proposing to change?
There's it's the italics and underlined sections.
Have the additions.
Yeah, the underlined part is the new language being proposed.
I can read it actually, I guess. Comments, questions?
I'm all set with
Good with it?
Only question I have is, we need to make sure that the receipts get back to the town. And I'm just wondering if it does state that in writing.
We could add that in section A, 2A.
Yeah, I'm just to make sure we cover ourselves, just make sure we get the receipts back.
Put a little note then, be sure receipts come back to town
Okay.
clerk. So I believe we would need a motion to,
I'll make the,
I can just add like a B, Rander, where, to B, and then I'll put receipts right there, if you wanna.
or actually, why don't we let Sandy
Rewrite it.
make her additions, and then at the next meeting, we can,
it. And then at the next
can-
meeting, we'll go ahead and
we can
approve?
adopt it.
Can I
Okay.
just ask one question? So if a committee wants to, I mean, I think it's generally very reasonable, but if a committee wants to purchase something that's over $500, it doesn't address how that's done, would that go back to the purchasing policy? Would it be like refer to
Yes.
the top again?
I think that's what the new
You're
language
saying
is
this part
saying.
just applies to town employees, and this part applies to volunteers, but like, there's a gap where if volunteers are spending over 500,
you almost
They
need
come
to
the
rewrite
select
it.
board.
right? You probably reference like, then you would
Right.
follow the employee's purchasing policy.
Right, you pretty much have to take A, B, and C from the
Right.
top and not
Well, not
that wording.
necessarily,
No, but I
because-
mean, just saying at this point, at this price level, then you do this, just so it's clear. So after $500, then B is you do.
Well, it states after $500, they need to get select board approval.
And follow.
And maybe that just needs to be restated within the policy to make it clear?
They need select board approval, but
Yes, but
I
that,
am assuming that they also have to follow this bidding process.
and that's what I would assume too. Does that need to be
But that's
be
like
made?
assumed, I think that should be.
That should be made more concrete, more transparent.
actually, I think I know where you're going with the $500. Unlike town employees, they're allowed to buy $1,499 without soliciting written quotes, where
This needs to say 499.
this stays, well, if it stays at $500, anything over the $500 must come to the select board for approval prior to buying, unlike the rest, because it doesn't really fall under the rest of this.
Well, right, but
It will.
But they still need to get solid written quotes if it's between the $1,500 to $5,000 amount, right?
Right, but because they're, I think, we want to leave it at the 5, because they're a
Yes.
volunteer group, not a paid employee.
Right.
Anything over the 500 and less than the $14.99 needs to get prior approval from the select board.
Do you feel the language that we have in the new proposal makes that clear?
No.
So what do we need to put in for language to clarify
be-
this and to make it
For me to be
absolutely
clear,
crystal?
you almost need to say from 0 to 499.99 is that this, you just need to call here. For 500 to 1499.99, you need to ask select board. And, the
Or do we want to say?
reasonable price, and then anything over, you're gonna need quotes.
Do we want to say, volunteers will follow the policy objectives as stated
But it
in the beginning of the
doesn't,
policy?
because the small is from
small
0
items,
to
moderate cost, and
1,500.
big ticket items, but anything over 500 needs select board approval as well? Is
Well,
that
you
what we're
could
going for?
You could state from $500 to $1,500.
You just need to break, is that little gap there, just needs to be, yes,
Exactly.
a common, you can assume that's what it is, but you can't always assume. So it's a room to fight it, if something, because it doesn't clearly say that you need to get the most reasonable price between that, or whatever.
Right.
well, it also doesn't say that,
The
like,
whole
let's
rest of
say
it.
that, the Conservation Commission wants to spend $1,000 on something, or, well, let's say $1,800 on something. It doesn't say that they have to put it out to competitive bid. This only applies to town employees.
So that's what we
The way
need to
it's written.
clarify.
You need to take this and just basically rewrite
If
it
we-
at the new price points that's
Right.
made for a volunteer.
If we want volunteers to follow the same procedures, then we just have to make that clear, plus we have to add the added thing.
Yeah, I mean,
that
you just have to
anything-
say, like, committees are expected to follow the same
Exactly.
guidelines as above for employees for public bid at the amount stated. And that's all you have to add.
Yes, that's what I was
So it's
saying.
clear
Yes.
that they also have to follow those same guidelines, since that's specific to town employees.
Yeah, the only difference is that an employee can spend $14.99
Right.
without a bid, where committees can only spend $500.
Yeah, and I think that's clear,
Yeah,
to me
Yeah.
anyway.
right.
So we need to word it.
Yes. To put it in, it could probably go in after the budget sentence. Volunteers will be expected to follow the policy objectives. And also, if a purchase is less than 500, then if you just put in that one sentence there, volunteers will follow the same policy objectives as town employees. However, purchases less than 500 by those committees, and then you can go on with it as it is. You just have to add in one sentence right in that place, I think.
You getting this, Annie?
So at the very end of 2, you want volunteers will follow the same policy objectives as employees.
I was thinking that after the first sentence, by definition, volunteers are not town employees. There are several volunteer committees within town government that have approved and funded municipal budgets. These volunteers will follow the same policy objectives as stated above, something to that effect. And then you can continue with purchases less than 500. It just makes it clear to the volunteers what they should be doing when they're going for these different types of items. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah, I don't know if it matters where that goes in, but as long as it's,
We'll let Sandy wordsmith it, and then
Yeah.
the next meeting we can
Sounds good.
review it again.
Okay.
Select board comments or concerns?
Thank you for bringing that up. That was good to know.
No comments or concerns tonight? Okay. Other business. There will be a runoff election on December 6th, tomorrow, for Justice of the Peace candidates who tied in the voting. Maureen Duchesne and Nick Holton. The Spencer Nimtz tax sale has been postponed. Arrangements have been made to pay in full. Phil, I guess you took the
Yeah.
bump out.
Yeah, I did.
Thank you. As far as the Conservation Committee changing their time to 4:30, I mean, that's, to me, the committee set their own meeting time. I
Yeah.
don't think that we need to
Right.
dictate that to them.
Okay.
That's my feeling, if everybody's agreeing.
I agree with that.
The town received a check in the amount of $14,800 for the grants and aid ditching project on Blackwood and Chapin Roads.
Good.
That's it. Received an email from Erhard Mankey. Hope I'm getting these names right. From Senator Sanders' office. They were looking for letters of interest on infrastructure or community projects. Sandy forwarded an email to RRPC's Devin Neary and asked if they would submit a letter on behalf of Wallingford, Timoth, Ira, and other towns struggling with broadband Wi-Fi cell phone coverage. And the other thing I suggested was funding for a bridge on the Creek Road.
Yeah.
I thought about that. but
I
I'll read the
like
rest of it.
that suggestion, funding for Creekwood Bridge, yes.
It's gonna be a big dollar
That's gonna
item
be
when it
huge.
happens, so.
Good thought.
And upcoming budget, next meeting will be Recreation, Highway, and Appropriations on the 19th. Finally, on the 2nd, we'll do Administration, Insurance, and Revenue.
Okay.
The town each year gives gift certificates. In the past, they've been $25. Sandy's asking if we would consider doing $50 this year.
Yes. I would
Yeah.
consider that.
I have no problem with that. Mark, you good?
Yep, yep, that's fine.
50 it is, Sandy.
Okay. It was actually Julie's idea, so I want to give her the credit.
So that means you can only buy half the groceries you could buy.
And I think with that,
Okay. I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
You're done.